Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mortuary. I am the Mortician. And today I want to do something a little bit different. You know, you always hear about top 5 favorite games for October, or top 5 favorite movies for October. I very seldom, if never, hear anyone talk about their top 5 or 10 albums for October. So I have 10 albums here that I listen to more through October than any other month. And sadly, there's no Mortician. As much as I would love for there to be Mortician in this list, I don't own any Mortician albums. They're really hard to find around this area for some reason, but if you really have to listen to Mortician, Hacked Up for Barbecue and Chainsaw Dismemberment. But with that said, let's get on with the video. First thing we have here is Zujur's Desert Northern Hell. There's going to be a lot of black metal in this. Like, it's just going to happen because it's just that kind of time of the year that where this stuff kind of gets cycled into people's libraries and into mine. But I absolutely love the evilness on this record, and I really love the grooviness on this record. I think this record made it to one of my top 5 or top 10 favorite black metal albums, and I do really love this album, especially for the groove and the evil and the atmosphere, and it's perfect for Halloween. The next thing we have here is Misfits, Walk Among Us. This is pretty much self-explanatory. The Misfits are a horror punk band. You know, they have some really catchy guitar riffs and guitar melodies, and they always go, whoa, because that's just the type of shit they do. But it's good, cheesy Halloween fun, and I listen to this album a lot, actually. Who could not love such classics as Mommy Can I Go and Kill Tonight, which is actually one of my favorite songs in Skulls. Great stuff, great stuff. And I would also recommend Famous Monsters, which a lot of people may not like because it's Michael Graves and not Glenn Danzig, but I think it's worth listening to. I like a lot of the songs off Famous Monsters. Next, we have some Lovecraftian-esque stuff with Cradle of Filth's Midian. Once again, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Cradle of Filth has always had this gothic tinge to their lyricism, and even in their music, in the music itself. And it really shines through on Midian. There's a lot of really nice melodies, very haunting melodies, and very haunting highs from Danny Filth and whatnot, vocally. The keyboards are done nice, that lend themselves really well to the music itself and adds a layer of atmosphere that it really needs to push it into the Halloweeniness territory, and I absolutely love this album. This was the album that actually got me into Cradle of Filth, if I'm not mistaken. Next up, we have Nun Slaughter's Hell's Unholy Fire. This album I really like because it reminds me of like a cheesy 80s slasher type deal. Especially lyrically, it's very satanic, cultish kind of slashery vibes that I really like. The riffs are really catchy, I think, especially on Nun Slaughter and Death by the Dead. Really catchy guitar riffs, some really sick growls. This band is like, if you don't have a Nun Slaughter record in your discography, I don't believe you like death metal. That's just how I am. Nun Slaughter is one of those bands that's just great all year round, but is especially great for Halloween, in my opinion. Next one we have is Pagan Altars, Judgment of the Dead. This is actually one of my favorite albums, like, ever. Like, I love this album so much. But this is another album that has a really haunting atmosphere, and lyrically deals with, like, the occult and stuff like that. And once again, it's just really nicely done. Lyrically, it really ties to Halloween, like I said, because the occult, and instrumentally it does too, because there's a lot of, like, slow-moving riffs that actually have, like, I don't want to keep using atmosphere, but that's kind of what it is. It's like, it just transports you to a different world, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's very roomy and spacious in the mix and whatnot, and it just makes you feel like you're walking around in a forest at night or something, and you know, you just stumble on a witch's coven or something. It's very good, very mystical. Next, we have one of my top 5 favorite albums of all time. That's Merciful Fate's Don't Break the Oath. This, of course, has to go in here. You know, Merciful Fate, King Diamond. The dude basically pisses Halloween. Like, that's just what King Diamond does. So, of course, there's going to be a Merciful Fate album on there. I would actually recommend trying to see some of his concerts as well. Not just listening to the album, which is great because, once again, it's very spooky atmosphere and whatnot. But the concerts that he has are really theatrical and would not be out of place in like a horror movie video store if one specialized store like that existed. It's really, really good. And like I said, definitely recommend the album, and I definitely recommend you check out some of his concerts. Next, we have, once again, another one of my favorites. I don't know if I call it top 5, maybe top 10 or top 15. That's Mr. Fiers Gosha. Once again, this is one album that just completely is just drenched in evil. From the beginning song all the way to the end, it's just absolutely fucking, you know, it's wicked, you know, it just has like a forbiddenness to it, and that's because of the riff styles, that's because of the vocal style. It has a lot to do with their using of keyboards very intelligently, and not using it so often, but more using it as a way to lend more atmosphere to the slower parts in the guitars, and that's really prevalent on an Elizabethan. I always have to look this up because it's a very wordy. An Elizabethan Devil Worshipper's Prayer Book. It's really, really obvious the way they use keyboards, and like I said, it transports you into like a completely different place. It just reminds you like dark forgotten castles with dark histories and whatnot. It's an absolutely great album. And I highly recommend it to anyone who really likes black metal. And now we have, this is technically 2 albums. I'm only going to pick one, and that's Crom's Slayer of Lost Martyrs. This is actually an EP, a black metal EP. This guy's, well, he was from Connecticut. And I picked this album again because it's almost like listening to a lucid dream, if that makes sense. It's almost like if you could step into someone else's mind while they're sleeping and just explore the dreamy, sleepy landscape. It's very depressing, though. It's like, it's great, it's haunting, it kind of leaves a lasting impression. Once again, there's a lot of reverb used on this EP. Tons and tons of keyboards expertly used to, once again, boost the spookiness and the atmosphere of this album to make it have that haunting, lingering feeling after you finish listening to it. It's absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend you check out Slayer of Lost Martyrs as soon as possible. Now we're going to get into LPs. Normally I don't do vinyls for this, and the reason that I don't typically do that is I don't know, it's just kind of cumbersome to kind of like go back and forth and put them back because, you know, you got to be a little respectful, but I figured we do it this time because we might as well. So the first thing we have here is probably the most evil album I own, and that's Impaled Nazarene's Toll Corpse Nors Nors Nors. This album is the most wicked album I own. It's like black metal meets grindcore meets some kind of like really sinister industrial. It's really in a league of its own in terms of the quality of the record and the sound of the record. There's like nothing that sounds like it. And I would also recommend not only Toll Corpse Nors 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 for Halloween, I would also recommend Ugra Karma, which is just as fucking spooky, if not it's slightly better in the musical regard. But Toll Corpse Nors 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 has these awful, like, sickening fucking what do you call those interludes of like people screaming and like fucking different kinds of animals making strange sounds, and it's wicked from beginning to end. Like, it belongs on a Halloween playlist. It's one of the most wicked albums I have. I listen to it like a lot. I love this album, but Halloween, I kick it up to like 12. I love this record, and once again, really belongs here. And lastly, we have a symphonic black record And that's Limbani Arts, Moon in the Scorpio. This is probably my favorite symphonic black metal album. It's actually the album that got me back into symphonic black, because back in the day I used to listen to a lot of Demo Borger, but as I kind of like my tastes grew in like metal and black metal and whatnot, I kind of realized how subpar they were, and then I found these guys and it ignited my love for this genre again. And as for it being a Halloween record, it's only a record I can describe as haunting. There's not much guitar. The guitars kind of take a back seat to everything else, and you have these really incredible melodic piano passages and incredibly amazing string. I think they're synthesizer, but string synthesizer pieces. They're just absolutely mind-blowing, and once again, I can't describe it any other way than haunting. There are so many times when I'm just sitting in my, my chair or whatever, and I just start humming some of the melodies from this album because they're that catchy and that they just seep into your soul that way. There's an air of sadness throughout the album. There's really painful cries, tortured cries, and whatnot. It's absolutely fantastic, and once again, would not be out of place in a Halloween playlist simply because it is so evil and haunting. So that's for my 10, but there are other things that I'd actually like to mention that I think you should check out. I don't own them personally, but you're gonna have to look these up. I'm not gonna put an image or whatever, but there's Satanic Panic's, I think it's called Satanic Panic 81. These guys did, I'll actually put a link to their Bandcamp down in the description. These guys make music very similar to John Carpenter, and they do an excellent job. I love this record, and I play it a lot because I actually supported them on Bandcamp, which is why I don't physically own it. Absolutely fantastic, very John Carpenter, so that's perfect for Halloween, because, John Carpenter, Halloween, haha. And also, of course, Mortician, which I brought up earlier, Hacked Up for Barbecue, or Chainsaw and Dismemberment. And if you're not familiar with Mortician, the reason they're perfect for Halloween is they have horror movie clips before their caveman riffs and blast beats. So it fits perfectly. They have things from Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th and whatnot. They have so many things from different horror films, and it's just absolutely awesome. And then lastly, Acid Witch. My favorite Acid Witch album is Witch Tannic Hallucinations. That's the one I always listen to. I absolutely adore this record, and I really recommend that you listen to it for Halloween, because it's absolutely perfect for that. And so is Stone to the Grave by Acid Witch. So thank you guys for watching. Links to all the bands that I just brought up, hopefully they'll have Bandcamps. I don't know if Mortician does. I know Acid Witch and Satanic Panic do. Will be in the description, so you can check those guys out. Thank you very much. Peace out.